Welcome everybody to the GRL podcast. It is now episode 5 of the podcast, and we of course are reviewing this week's Mexican Grand Prix. We've had the mixed here, as we do every week, the F1 as we do every week, and of course the Formula 2. There's a lot to talk about, a lot to digest this week, and we've got a lot going on, of course. I'm joined as always by Atom. Atom, how are you?
I'm great, thanks. I'm happy we passed Mexico, but let's speak about it one last time. There was once again some great racing all the way, and we'll go over all the races very shortly.
We will indeed, and we will have a guest for Division 2 when we get round to that, so stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, we'll just take a quick little peek at the calendar, of course. We were at Mexico after our race at Singapore a couple of weeks ago now, and we're getting towards that Christmas period. I mean, we've got Belgium, Portugal, and Spain. Of course, Portugal being the sprint to go, but of course, Mexico is where we were at. And this is the track that everyone had to battle with. It was 36 laps of, unless it was in the Formula 2, 36 laps of the 4.304 kilometre long circuit. And it can be challenging, and I think for some it was. Especially, we had a lot of good racing, but then, things got a bit sticky in turn 4 and turn 12 on a couple of occasions as well, didn't it?
Yeah, all the way in the middle sector, it's all quite hectic, usually, especially in the first few laps. In Division 1, I think it all went quite fine. I don't think anyone spun off that early. I started...
Apart from Kiwi in retreat.
Yeah, those two love each other, don't they?
They do, they really do.
So, I think I started the number of spins pretty much in Division 1. And, in Division 2, it was a melee in the midfield, especially. Even though you could ask what actually is the midfield in Division 2, because they're also close. Didn't have exactly a look on the first two laps in the lower divisions, but was a bit of a hectic phase in these corners, especially in the first two laps, obviously.
Yeah, 100%. But we will very quickly kick off with a quick look at the mixed division tier, and there we go. That's what went on in this one. We had Lone Retreat win the race from C. Boyden from SFM from myself, which means I extend that lead at the top of the championship. You were not able to make it. I think you were stuck in Vienna, weren't you? But you got to watch the Spain-Germany game, so who's the real winner? Well, I'm saying that as if I didn't have it on literally next to me, but that's not the point. It was a good race. There wasn't. It wasn't the most exciting of races. But yeah, there's not really much to report on from this race. Of course, Mixed can always throw up a bit of a crazy one with the reverse championship order, and the first couple of laps were absolute mayhem. I got saved by a safety car because I was nearly a lap down. I had to pit on lap 1 for damage, and then didn't actually change the damage. So I had to pit again. So it really wasn't ideal for me, but I managed to battle back to 4th. But Lone Retreat did win very well. I remember Rage and C. Boyden had a battle. Rage came off definitely worse in that one. But yeah, overall...
I heard that, yeah.
Yeah, overall...
I heard Rage wasn't very pleased about something that happened there. But at least at this point, I could say, I don't know what happened, I'm sorry. So,
but me and you will still be on the back row, I believe, for Spa, if you can make it.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and generally...
I'm definitely there.
Yeah, and I think back row for Spa, you'll be able to avoid turn 1 carnage. You'll just be able to pick your way through, really.
Yeah, I think it's England-Senegal in the evening, so we'll see who will turn up, actually.
Yeah.
Many Brits are ready to get beaten by the Africans. Will be interesting. Once again, different people racing each other, so I can't wait for... Pretty wide in Rouge.
Well, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Well, we'll move on from that. We'll move on to Division 1, and we'll have a quick look at the results from that. We'll have a quick look at the standings first. Jurazi took the lead of the championship, ahead of Sky Spider and Rage, despite not even finishing on the podium. But I mean, if you look at the championship order, we'll go back. I'll show you. I'll put up the race results very quickly here. There they are. Rain did win from Ninja and Michael. It's a great result from Michael in that Williams as well. B Ford and Jurazi there as well in 4th and 5th. TMS Sora, he had some issues in qualifying, I believe, so it was very good of him to manage to finish. And am I right in thinking? Oh no, that was Singapore. He didn't have any issues in qualifying. I'm going crazy. That was Singapore, but he finished P6. Pyro managed to turn up this week and finish P7 with Blade Counter. Got a gaming frowning at the top 10. But it was an interesting race. I mean, it was dry, then it got wet, and then it got dry once again. And I mean, just looking at those standings again, we have 10 points between the top 6, 14 between the top 7. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. And it's so tight up there. I mean, even Williams, Red Bull, and Alfa Romeo 10 points from the top, and then you've got the next little echelon of Aston Martin, McLaren, and Alpine, and then the next one of Mercedes, AlphaTauri, and Ferrari, and then Haas on their own at the bottom. But I thought that was a cracking race, personally.
Yeah, I mean, what I just realised is congratulations to Oscar Pito, who, due to the race results, apparently has 3 cars in the top 8. Because
yeah, I realised that.
Your stellar co-owner decided to give Michael the World.
Yeah, I thought that, but I didn't want to mention it because I thought I was wrong. But no, I was right.
But apart from that, we ignore that. Nobody saw that. Yeah, great race for Michael in the Red Bull, definitely. I think we all know that he's quite pacey, but I think nobody really expected him literally there where he ended up, especially beating B Ford and Drazi and Sora, who all did very well, and the Crash Master of Pyro, obviously, who was almost lapped and still got some points in the end. So yeah, good result for him. Ninja also good for his championship because he missed Britain. Rain came in out the box and won. But yeah, I think it's probably deserved that Razzie leads the championship now because he had the consistency. I taught him the way of consistency. And yeah, it's all very close. I don't know what he said. I think around 14 points between the top 7 or so. Yeah, it's amazing.
Well,
so
I mean,
if you're first now, you could be like 8th next round. So
exactly.
Amazing.
Well, I mean, Rain bit joining Alpine's helped you out quite a bit, hasn't it? I mean, you were only on. I mean, he's got 26 of your 30 points now.
Yeah.
So that's helped a bit. You know, with McLaren and Aston Martin, so that's not too bad. And you know, the overall constructors battle with Ferrari at the moment, they're only 9th in the standings, so that's good as well. Looking forward to Belgium. I'm interested to see that one because I think Belgium's always the tactical one because you never know if you want to go at the last corner or the last lap at Le Carme at the end of the Kemmel Straight. It's more cat and mouse, I think, Belgium, because there's so much opportunity for overtake. You have to time it right. It's kind of similar to the Red Bull Ring in that way. I think that there's so much opportunity for overtake. You've really got to pick and choose your moments.
Yeah, and what I think spices it up a little bit is that our championship leader in Division 1, Drazi, is actually from Belgium. So I think he'll try to win his home race, but I think there will be a few people who'll try to deny him this pleasure. But yeah, as I said, Williams is on top. Spa, great circuit, classic circuit, and definitely provides enough opportunities for moves and overtaking. So we'll already have a plan on how the race will go, and suddenly it will absolutely sit down when full wet, and it will be all completely different. So,
Exactly.
But definitely Spa usually a top race. And we also had some championship drama the last season. Was the beginning
of course.
Of the drama.
It really was, yeah, with Ninja's puncture. But I mean, lastly, quick word on Drazi. I mean, third, and 5th, and leads the championship. I mean, that's crazy, really. He's not been in the top 2 in the first 3 races, but somehow is at the top of the tree. So, Sky Spider, Rage, Sora. I mean, Sky Spider 2 seconds there. Not a great race this week. Rage obviously won at Singapore. Sora won at Silverstone. Rain down in 7th after 3 races. He wins a race and he's only 7th. I mean, it really shows how tight this is going to be, and I really hope it stays this close through the season.
Yeah, definitely. And one quick note at the left there, on the top of the championship. If you exclude Ninja, it's pretty much GRL versus BRT, which is
yeah.
note there.
Well, of course, Rage has moved, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Apart
But
from
he
Rage,
definitely was former BRT driver, so I guess
it's another
he
thing that
won.
Rage is ruining, I guess. But anyway, we won't mock him for that. He obviously nearly went to NVR, but decided against it right at the last second. Anyway, yeah, we'll move on to Div 2 now. But yeah, Div 1, I'm very much looking forward to next week. So we'll move on to Division 2 now, and I'm very pleased to say that we are joined by the Division 2 winner from this week, Jackster. Jackster, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, thank you.
Very good.
Quite happy after coming off a win
Yeah.
in Mexico.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in such a competitive division like Div 2, I mean, you can see, Lloyd to compete to. I mean, that's a rare Lloyd dub there, let's be honest. Josh Gilly got 3rd. That's some good points on the board for him. And then Distant Barge was. But it was a good result for the team as well for Alpine, because the win and 4th plus pole, so that's 38 points in the 1 week, so that's not bad at all.
Yeah, it was a very good week for us. It was very close for pole position. I think there was a 10th to split the top 3. So luckily I got pole and ended up converting it to the win.
Yeah, I mean, I remember looking at it, I think it was 8 thousandths, wasn't it? I think you got pole by. It was not a lot at all. But I mean, that's the fine margins, isn't it? But I mean, again, your qualifying lap would have been good enough for P6 in Division 1 qualifying, so that's a fantastic lap. And it kind of shows how good Division 2 is on quality, because it's not necessarily the tops of Rain, who's at a 15 flat.
Yeah.
But, it's still really good quality. I mean, you kind of enjoying how competitive it is.
Yeah, definitely. I think every race is definitely a challenge, and I still didn't even win the race on track, which shows how everyone's very equal, and it's all a massive challenge for everyone to win. And there's been different winners and different people on the podium every single week, so it's been very, very good.
Asim, didn't you have a stat for that, about podium finishes in Div 2?
Yeah. 3 races, 3 winners, 9 podium sitters.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's crazy. I mean, I'll put up the standings now so people can get a good look at them. But because it's Slapbus and Distant Body were tied at the top with 38, but it means that they've only got 1 podium, well, 2 between them, 1 each. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. There's 10 people there. Only one of those people has not been on the podium. We've just finished round 3. So I mean, it's slightly ridiculous. I mean, if you look at the constructors, those points from this week, what was it, 38, wasn't it? Like I said, yeah, that's helped Alpine catapult themselves out in front. So, I mean, do you think you and Distant Bard are getting, like, not necessarily a good working relationship, but I mean, like, do you think you're working well together and you can push for that title?
Yeah, definitely. I think we've got some good results, and we definitely have potential to just push on and hopefully get some more podiums and wins. And I think we can definitely win the constructors if we keep this up and keep going and getting good results.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, bless them. I don't think AlphaTauri will be challenging you because they haven't scored yet. Well, you've got 84, but again, because you're only 10 points off the top of the championship, which is not far at all considering that you've made up all that ground in the one race. Granted, it's early in the season, but I mean, just looking forward, not too far forward. I mean, we've got Belgium coming up next week. You excited for that? You like? Do you feel good around that track?
I'm not too sure. We'll see. I mean, in the wet, not really, but I haven't really done it this game too much, so we'll find out hopefully. But I think hopefully I'll have a good race because every time at Belgium, I usually either bottle it or have a really good win there. So, guess we'll find out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you bottled it, you'd be with the champions. I mean, Ninja bottled it in Div 1 last year, so you wouldn't be the first person. Um, Aston was very pleased about that. I remember that day very well. But yeah, I mean, who do you? I mean, I don't want to, necessarily to truck out. I mean, I am asking you to truck out names, but you don't have to. But I mean, are there any people that you think are your main competitors if you were looking to push for the drivers' title?
Oh, it's hard to know. Obviously, Slapbus doing pretty good at the moment, and obviously top, but I'm not too sure yet, really, because we're only two races,
Three
races in.
yeah.
It's still kind of, we've had 3 different podium sitters and 3 different winners.
Yeah, exactly.
9 podium sitters, so it's
we're only
hard to know yet.
We're only a 7th into the season.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at this rate,
Josh Gilly's going to be a good one, and Otto as well might be up there.
Yeah, definitely. I think
and
there
you
are a
never
couple
know
of
with
those.
AMS Lloyd.
Yeah, exactly. Bless him. But no, because there are a couple of guys, I think Josh Gilly and Otto, they can definitely qualify very well. It's just whether they can deliver that result in the race. But I do think Div 2 is shaping up incredibly nicely for the season ahead. And I mean, I haven't asked you personally this, but are there any tracks over the season that you're particularly looking forward to?
Not particularly, but probably Austria is normally a decent one for me.
Yes.
And same with Monza as well. Monza I usually like
the speed
as well,
tracks.
But, yep, because I don't know why, I've just always hook it up very well. Maybe Hungary as well. I'm decent around Hungary.
Oh, I like a good bit of Hungary, to be fair.
Yeah,
Hungary is a good one.
For those.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, good luck, man. Good luck for the season. Thanks for coming on the podcast. And yeah, good luck for the season ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, on to Div 3, then. It was a very good week for Trappy, who won in his Haas for Division 3, and then it was Jobbo, who came in second, AJ Nolan rounding out that podium, Luca B in fourth for the Aston Martin team, and Michael, whatever it is, in P5 for the Red Bull, Yoki also in P6, meaning it's 6 different teams in the top 6, Nalapu makes it so that there's 2 Hasses in the top, and then Thomas to Mercedes, but of course they only got a combined 10 points. So good week overall for Haas. I mean, if we look at the championship now, because of that, Trappy has a decent enough lead. Jobbo second and AJ Nolan third is exactly what you've just looked at, and Haas now have a nice little lead in the constructors over Mercedes. They've done them very well for themselves this week. I believe they'll have overtaken, but as you can see, Ferrari overall they were leading the constructors. I think Alpine are now, and they are languishing at the bottom of this division. So, I mean, this is looking like it's an interesting one shaping up, and Trappy's doing well in the early stages.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Haas didn't have the best of starts. I think they're still 9th or somewhere there in the overall constructors. Not too sure, though. Yeah, that's one of the divisions that really helps out Haas. Same as, I think, Division 6, which we'll be on later. Yeah, Trappy raced in Division 3 last season, as I said last week already, and once again he performs, which is good to see. Yeah, then we've got also Jobbo in second, and there's also quite a big gap already. Like, I think 16 points after 3 rounds is quite massive, I think. But yeah, then all the way down to P5, it's very close. It's only 5 points between P2 to P5. So that's very interesting, especially with Alpha Heated now going to Ferrari. So I guess their position in this constructors battle will improve soon, as Steve also got unlucky recently. So maybe the Ferrari fans have more to cheer on, as they can hopefully challenge Haas for this constructors title, as it seems a bit one-handed so far. Maybe Mercedes, but they only had actually one good race at Great Britain. But I guess we'll have to see.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. And I think this is one of those championships that, I mean, Yeah, I mean, you might get someone start pulling away, but you might have a pack form, only like Jobbo Nolan, Alfie and Yogi, only 5 points between them, Ghost as well, not far behind as well. So, there is that kind of situation where, we might have a big fight for second, or there might be a couple out in front, but I think it's one to watch, Div 3, definitely.
Yeah, definitely, and we just gotta hope that Trappy doesn't run away with it, which obviously is an option, but I think he'll have to stretch his legs to get away from everyone, because we know he battled with Wiggy a lot last season, who is in the top 10, but obviously lost already a big margin of points. But yeah, I think Trappy's definitely one of the top drivers in this division, but he'll have to prove himself again at Spa.
Yeah, definitely. And last thing to mention, nice about between for fifth, McLaren 29, Alfa Romeo 27, Williams 26, Aston Martin 25. That's quite satisfying. But we will move on to Division 4. And in Division 4, it was a win for SLR Ham. And SLR Jam, they are different people, finished third as well. So it wasn't a bad race weekend for them. Jamie Hops finishing in P2 for Ferrari, good result for them. Alpine can only find fourth with PD. Maldonado fifth and Andrew in sixth. But this is an interesting one. I found another nice photo of Sebastian Vettel there. But it's Div 4 is interesting. I think with Ham and Jam in there, that adds another little bit of quality. And if you look at the standings, it's Rex and Hops at the moment who's still at the top, 39-36, giving Ferrari a 30-point lead at the top of the championship. But Ham and Jam, they might be able to pull some points. Yeah, I know, it sounds funny, but they might be able to pull some points. One would think. That was very posh, but you know what I mean. They might be able to pull some points from maybe the generic. I say generic, the current championship leaders, but they will, judging by that performance, they could very easily become championship contenders themselves.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely some tongue breakers, that's for sure.
Yeah.
What we probably have to update here is that SLR Ham 19 has now moved to the AlphaTauri team, who definitely need his pace, because I think they're last in the overall constructors. And Jam went to the Williams team, who I think in a very close midfield battle. So definitely performed. Andrew also said, why are they in our division? When I raced in SLR, there were 2 divisions above me. Well, so that probably means we'll see them on the sharp end of this division, fighting for wins and podiums. But as we saw in other divisions, pace doesn't matter too much, because you have to bring it on the track and have to deliver week by week. Otherwise, you'll just get stuck in the midfield, or even have to stretch your legs for points. But yeah, I said Ferrari still ahead with Rex and Hops. They're looking good. And whenever one of them has a poor weekend, the other one delivers, which is good to see. I think Rex and Dobby were struggling this week, but Hops could pick up a second place. And split to Summit League Racing drivers, which probably means that they definitely aren't unbeatable, and will probably just improve the competitivity in this tier.
Yeah, 100%. I have to completely agree with you on that one. But we will then finally move on to Division 5. Yes, Division 5. I got there in the end. And it was J Street who won that race, with Lemon and Chappers there as well. Another good... You can see where the Alpine points coming from. Another 23 here. And they only won for Ferrari. But you can see for J Street. But it's a good result overall, with Gaz Buchanan there in 5th, Mexican Bob finishing 4th. And what it does for the championship is J Street leads the championship now, ahead of Ronnie Rosie and Lemon. But again, look at that, Lemon, and then the 3 on 27 and 1 on 26. Ollie, Jacob, Chappers, and Asma Frog, all of them so tight in there. And again, a lot of these championship battles are really, really close at the moment. And I just think it'll be there'll be a lot of these championships we'll still be talking about in the weeks ahead, but they're still really close.
Yeah, I'll come to the championship in a second, but finally, J Street got his GRL race win. He was hunting it for so long since the start of last season. I think he's the man with like the most podiums but not a race win in this league. He was so often second, third or fourth, and finally got his race win, which I'm quite glad to see, because if you see people really working hard to get this success and they finally get it, that's nice to see. And only when I was doing the standings, I realized that with this victory he also leads the championship, which is quite remarkable. Yeah, the two McLaren boys also looking good in this championship. I think Ronnie had a bit of a poor weekend once more, so we were expecting him to do actually quite solid in the first few rounds with his pace, but in fact it was his teammate who qualified P6, then had problems at the start of the race, but still climbed up to P2. Yeah, I think Lemon is probably the quickest driver in this division, so I think if he keeps his clean and his axums don't come in his championship way too early, he's definitely one to look out for. And yeah, with the penalties of Jakub KF22, who actually finished second but got several penalties, it means that Jappers is on the podium, which is nice to see. The Frenchman in the Alpine. He's showing Pierre Gasly how it works, I guess. And yeah, in the team standings, as I said, McLaren looking good, Alpine also up there with Jakub and Chappers, which is personally for me good to see. And
Yeah.
and it's a quite weird standings table here, because Ferrari in the midfield, we either see them on the top or at the bottom of the
Yeah,
standings.
exactly.
Mercedes, Aston Martin, quite solid in the other divisions as well. We said Red Bull were in the first round. Red Bull's one to watch out for, but they went downhill a bit as well. So yeah, Division 5 is a bit of a negative picture to the other ones, I guess.
Yeah, no, I agree. But we'll leave Div 5 and move on to the two remaining divisions, and we'll start with Div 6. So, Div 6 then, and it was Tron in the Mercedes who took the win here. I mean, you can see George Russell celebrating that victory in Brazil. Of course, this is Mexico. Same America's continent, different part. Echo took P2, IFR Ed took P3, 10th Cannon with a good result in P4. You can see those two Alpines, 4th and 6th, that's 20 points. Where's Ferrari? It's nowhere to be seen. Good result though for Mercedes in this particular championship with 35 entire points. But I mean, you know, me and Aston talk about this division a lot, because if you look at the championship here, I mean, it's so close. Azrael and Tron, 38, 34, Echo 34, Panda 33, Luge 30, 10th Cannon 30, Ace Guy 29, sorry. It's so close here between the top 7, and it really is a championship battle that is hotting up incredibly nicely.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's also interesting if you have a bit of a look on the stats. I mean, Flying Luge, let's start with him. He had one race win, and that was pretty much his season so far. 10th Cannon also, 2 4th places, I believe, and 1 7th. So also not a podium to be seen from him, just the consistency. Ace Gay won at Silverstone, and then just 2 horrific weeks, let's say, for him. Panda with a podium, and Echo with 2 as well. So those were not picking up wins yet, but the podiums, that's for sure. And yeah, Mercedes consistent as always. Tran with a race win. I think Azrael, I don't know. I don't think he has won yet, but definitely 2 podiums for him in the other Mercedes. So yeah, amazingly close there. It's kind of developing like a 2016 championship here, where the 2 Mercedes could probably meet each other on track and potentially hit each other as well in a few rounds' time, where we go to Spain. So that's going to be a interesting race for their history. But yeah, it's as I said, it's unbelievable. You can't predict who's gonna be ahead after the next round. So have to wait on how this all unfolds. While also the midfield is very close, but those 7 drivers definitely have created quite a gap already to fight it out between each other.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. And I'm very excited to see how this one shapes up in the weeks before Christmas, especially. But I do think that I think McLaren needs some points here. I feel bad that they've got none and then everyone else has got at least 17. But anyway, we'll move on to Div 7.
We're all constructors champions from last season as well. They need points very soon.
Yeah, exactly. Right, if we move on to Div 7, it was a bit of a hickledy-pickledy race in Division 7. Of course, with the red flag and what happened there. Half points were awarded to the winner at Bright and to the rest as well, with Clipscram second and Marley in P3. Kieran fourth and Wargasmin fifth. But, I mean, you have, with the Ferrari, I mean, they got the win, but they didn't get the full points. So it wasn't really, I mean, they got 7.5 point advantage over the Alpine in P5. But they didn't get the 15-point advantage that they would normally get. But there's little bits like that are just slightly irritating for them. Jack JT wasn't able to win third in a row. He only managed 7th. And let's see what that does to the standings in here. It won't allow the constructors' standings to do the 0.5s. But so Ferrari will be on 51.5. Aston Martin 54.5. And so on and so forth. But yeah, Jack JT's still a long way out in front here. Right? It's just more of a question of can anyone catch up to him, I think, at this point.
Yeah, I mean, Kel in third in the Ferrari, he's on 29 points, but I think he got all 3 pole positions so far. So the pace is definitely there. He just gets caught up in the incidents until this point. So I hope he can have a cleaner race. We had 1 practice lobby already for next week at Spa, and he seemed really pacey. Outqualified even Division 4 drivers there. So he's definitely trying to get out of here, let's say. But yeah, Jack JT obviously got a bit lucky with the half points because he only finished P7. So he still almost has a race win of a gap to P2, which is Kieran, who I think also didn't get a podium at Mexico. He still Jack still has the cards in his hands pretty much, and can now see whatever happens and react to it. As you said, it's painful for Ferrari because they won this race and they don't get the full 25 points, 26 or 27 depending on pole and fastest lap. But yeah, it's also nice to see that we've got three new podium sitters this week in Division 7. At least some positives to take with Bright, as said, Clipscam in the Red Bull, and also Marley, who, don't ask me how, somehow ended up on the podium. So something must have happened there. Sorry, Marley. With, Kieran down there. And also Vito Chimera once again getting points. So he's definitely collecting some solid points for the Haas team there. So I said next to Division 6 and 3, that's good for the American team.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. But we will leave our the Formula 1 divisions. There we go. That's what I was looking for. To one side, we'll move on to Formula 2 now. I'm very happy we're getting on to Formula 2 because I had quite a lot of fun. Sprint race. I'm very happy to say I won. Pyro came second, Nathan third, you came fourth. Good result for the team. Charus also scored well with the second and the sixth in the sprint race, but of course points only go down to 8th, so 10th Cannon Jays Creek didn't actually score. Then if we look at the feature race where the points are handed out, you'll still see that I won and Pyro came second again. We had a cracking last lap battle. Sadly, and I don't know, I think there was a desync or whatever, it wasn't caught on the stream, which is really annoying, but we had a great battle on the last lap. A little bit of jostling for position, but, you know, that's racing. and I believe I'm now. Well, I don't know why I'm saying I believe. I can put it up on screen in a second. Because another thing to mention, you came fourth in both races. I came first, and Pyro came second in both races. So we were always there. But if we take a look at the standings, there we go. Sorry for the quality, but that's just how it is. I now lead on 75, then it's Gibson, and then Atom, and then that's basically the championship. Pyro's jumped up to 5th immediately, pretty much. But yeah, I mean, yeah, the championship battle at the moment is between myself, yourself, and Gibson, really, and I think we are doing very well in the teams. I feel like that's wrong, isn't it? That teams is wrong.
The teams is still the old one, yeah.
Yeah,
because
okay, yeah.
there were still the points to sort out, obviously, for the pole position, which is
right,
apparently given to the actual P10, which our nice app isn't able to understand right away.
Well, either way,
Yeah.
I think you could work it out from just looking at the side that Virtuosi now have 140, and MP have 80, so that's a 60-point gap that Virtuosi have on top of MP, and that's quite a big gap. I hope we can stretch that out further and further as the season progresses, realistically.
Yeah. Virtuosi doing really well. I mean, as we said before stream, we somehow managed to get in 4 out of 6 races we got the race win, which will make Jack Doohan happy, because we are doing him loads of sponsorship with all his pictures from the actual F2 podiums. Yeah, maybe it matters at the end of the season with the race wins as well, because if we tied on points, it depends on this. Yeah, so you got a very strong weekend around Mexico. Well, I secured another 2 wins, and Gibson, I think, won once in the other round as well. So definitely turned the championship around now. Before this week, it was, I think, Gibson, myself, and you, and now you lead Gibson, with me lurking behind. So it's definitely going to be interesting at Spa, because we're still all within 10 points. And if I potentially can actually finish qualifying within the white lines this time, we might see another great battle, like we saw in Singapore last week between Gibson and yourself.
Yeah, I do hope so, and I'm very much looking forward to that. But as you mentioned, it is Belgium next week, and that is where I'm very much looking forward to the action that's coming up, so don't miss out on that. Of course, we will have mixed race on Sunday, then the F1 on the Monday, and the F2 on the Wednesday, so make sure you tune in for all of them. Thank you to all of you for watching, listening, following along on your screen. And yeah, we wish you a very happy rest of the week, and good luck in your GRL adventures in Belgium. But from us this week, it's goodbye.